Anda kembali menyaksikan CNBC Indonesia Awards 2021 The Best Technology Companies. Kita ke informasi selanjutnya, perusahaan teknologi kesehatan Decentralized Bio Network atau DeBio menilai bahwa penggunaan sistem blockchain dapat menjadi solusi keamanan digital pada pengujian biomedis dan juga bioinformatika pada pemeriksaan genetika. CEO dari DeBio Network, Pandu Sastrowardoyo menjelaskan selama ini pengumpulan data uji medis genetika masih menggunakan sistem tersentralisasi yang memiliki isu pada keamanan privasi. Sementara dengan menggunakan mode blockchain akan ada ribuan catatan server yang mencatat semua transaksi sehingga jika ada yang mencoba memalsukan transaksi akan sangat sulit. Sama halnya dengan DeBio Network, perusahaan media sosial generasi baru Myriad ikut menggunakan teknologi blockchain dalam menjalankan platformnya. Dan CEO dari Myriad, Jane Daniel Gauthier menyebutkan penggunaan blockchain membuat Myriad berbeda dengan media sosial lainnya. Saat media sosial lain dikuasai oleh segelintir perusahaan, Myriad tidak dikontrol oleh sebuah perusahaan, tetapi oleh semua pengguna yang juga berpartisipasi di dalamnya. Gauthier juga mengatakan bahwa pengguna dapat menganggap Myriad sebagai sebuah gerakan masyarakat untuk menguasai sebuah platform media sosial. And for further information and to discuss more about the benefit of blockchain technology for economic development, here with us, Reality Chain founder and also DeBio Network CEO, Ms. Pandu Sastrowardoyo, and also CEO of Myriad Social, Jane Daniel Gauthier. Hello, very good morning to you, Ms. Pandu, and also Pa Jane.
Good evening. I'm in the US right now, so it's night.
And good morning.
Very good evening to you.
Java right now.
Okay, first I'm going to DeBio. We do know that people are more aware to check their health digitally now, but is it safe to have our medical data being recorded on a digital platform?
That's the thing. Prior to digitalization, there was always issues in gathering data, right? So people moved towards digitalization and started to trust digital platforms. Now, the issue with current digital platforms is that a lot of the current digital platforms are very centralized. And that centralization leads to a lot of issues. There has been a lot of major breaches of medical data, and especially KYC-linked medical data in really established nations, including in 2018, the Sing Health hack in Singapore, which basically caused first the data to be leaked, of course, and questions about how to architect data like this. So hacking is brought about by something called the honeypot problem. The fact that data is centralized and put inside one server. And once someone managed to hack through the data, hack into the database, all these sets of data are revealed to the person who hacked. And that causes a lot of issues from the security perspective. Now, the other part of it, the other side of the coin, is from the consumer perspective, privacy is not 100% respected in a lot of these architectures. And finally, monetization methods do not really exist for patients who are providing these data sets. So we're trying to find a way to recreate the way we do medical data with the DeBio Network.
Okay, Ms. Pandu, we do know that we talk a lot about data being decentralized previously on our show. So Myriad is developing features that are not available on the other social media platforms. So what makes Myriad different from the other social media platforms that we already have right now, Jane?
Well, one of the main differences is, of course, that Myriad intend to be owned by its users. So right now, what is happening with traditional social media is that they are controlled by a handful of corporations, and users have very little control upon what they can see, how they can express themselves, how they monetize their data, and their data are not owned by those users. If you upload something on traditional social media, it belongs to wherever you uploaded it to. Our target right now is to change that, so users will own their data. Users will have control over how you can monetize those data, and users will participate in steering the development of the platform through technology we called a DAO, which makes it possible to actually participate into let's say important decision taken by the network in general.
Okay, so users have control of their data in Myriad. That's really interesting. Next, Ms. Pandu, still regarding the medical data, if the patient's data is very vulnerable to being hacked, what is the solution offered by DeBio Network?
DeBio Network offers several solutions that are based on decentralization as well. The focus is on data security and ensuring that KYC is not linked to genetic and biomedical data, like within our platform. Like even within our platform itself, I'm the CEO, I would be unable to figure out which medical data set is connected to which KYC because it simply does not exist in our database. Which means that if something happens to the data, first of all, it becomes something called, from HIPAA standards, it's called de-identified data. It's not data that has any identity related to it, which means it is lower risk. If it leaks, it doesn't compromise, for example, your insurance premiums. That's one layer, the lack of KYC or the lack of need for KYC. Now, the second part of it is actually we allow labs to collaborate with us. So we're not a lab, we're actually a platform for labs to collaborate. So if you're a laboratory, then you're providing genomic testing services, personal genetic testing services, whole genome testing services, COVID testing services, and any kind of biomedical testing service. You can actually collaborate with us and grab the market of more patients through our platform. You will have a digital storefront to sell your wares, sell your services, and then do that on our platform. Now, the other part of it, and then this really secures the data, is that in terms of the monetization of data, like the major genetic testing companies, many of them are owned by pharmacogenetics companies who use your set of data and monetize based on their research. That never flows back to you. Now, what we're trying to do at DeBio is to ensure that all of these monetization flows back to you in a way that is safe. So even that part of the ecosystem we are creating on our platform. So the DeBio Network, as per its name, is decentralized bio network. It is a platform for everything biology, everything bioinformatics, and everything biomedical.
Okay, now to give our viewers maybe a clearer picture, how common is data leak and also personal data being monetized in Indonesia at the moment? Maybe first from Myriad?
Well, it's not just a problem in Indonesia, it's a problem everywhere. So what is happening is those big corporations that offer big services, it might be social media or it may be massively used websites and services. They offset the cost of maintaining their servers, doing their marketing, running business as usual by actually appropriating themselves the data from the users and using it to target ads and to drive content. Now, what is happening is when you have the data of 3 billion people, for instance, on a handful of server, is that you become a prime target for all sorts of internal leaks, data misuse, hacking, and those data that should not ever leave their native ecosystem end up in the wild, and it ends up misused for a lot of a lot of nasty nasty cases, in a lot of nasty cases. And yeah, this is what is concerning. The first thing is that your personal data should not be on someone else's server without you being able to do anything about it. And the second thing is that it should be kept safe, and you should be able to reuse it, to own it as you own your KTP, or as you own your passport. You decide what you do with your passport. You decide what you do with your ID card. So why not decide what you do with your own online data?
Okay, so from Ms. Pandu, from the health industry side, how common is data leak and also our personal data being monetized currently in our country?
It's very common, but a lot of these things are probably off the record in terms of the current situation. So I won't go to Indonesian cases, but I can say that internationally it is very, very common. There was a genetic testing company that actually lost control of its database, and a lot of the genetic data that they've sequenced actually got leaked, and that may have included the KYC of the people doing the genetic testing. And there was also another leak related to the track and trace system. So that's actually getting very common, in fact. The issues with these systems are, first of all, the honeypot problem, right? Hackers are very interested. And because of the rise of COVID and the rise of the pandemic, COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, there has always been sort of a, this issue has always existed. Like before COVID, before the pandemic, this issue has always existed. But this is sort of the amount of data that is getting filled in these systems are getting bigger and bigger. And since most of these systems are centralized, that centralization causes, again, a lot of interest from hackers and a lot of incentives really to hack. And that means that it's a single point of failure that needs to be fixed. Yeah, I won't mention sort of like the sort of the cases to avoid any issues, but like there are multiple cases out there of these systems being hacked and these systems being leaked. And the issue with centralization is that once that one database is leaked, all within it are also seen. Which is not the case when we're talking about the kind of architecture that the DeBio Network uses. Because even if you manage to hack one piece of data, first of all, you would only get one. Like you wouldn't get access to the rest of the database. And secondly, you wouldn't ever get access to the KYC of the people. And that prevents any privacy issues from arising.
Okay, so sadly, it's a very common practice in Indonesia and also globally. Next, moving on to metaverse, which is a very new term, I think, for a lot of us here. So how important is the metaverse in the social media ecosystem, and why do we have to develop it? Maybe I'll go first with Myriad.
Okay, so the metaverse. Let's explain a little bit what it's all about. So I guess a lot of us have seen the movie Ready Player One, and they remember the Oasis, where everyone, they use their virtual reality gears and they dive in to this virtual space where they see all their friends, they change their appearance, and they play games together. Or maybe in the movie Wreck-It Ralph, when all the video game characters they congregate in one space and they interact together. This is what the metaverse is perceived as right now. It's a place online. It's a world that users are building for each other. When we can connect, when we can interact, when we can play together, when we can meet together, watch movies, work, and have a presence organize ourselves around activities in a way that we can't do physically because we're separated by distance. We're separated by, right now in this COVID-19 era, we're separated by confinement and all these kind of things. And what's important about it is that it wasn't always a universe with people and with building. We've been, as users, building some kind of metaverse already since the internet started to exist. This is a universe we build together with interaction, with information, with activities we get behind together. And um, all the users of the internet have been building fantastic things together. And why it's important to develop it is because technologies are getting much better. If you take a look at the VR technology this year, the leap is getting absolutely fantastic. And what you see in the movies in Oasis, and this is going to become a reality, but it is only going to become a good reality, a reality where things are, I'm going to say, where users are free to build together and are free to interact together if it is built now, from now on, and if it is built together, so we can actually own this metaverse as users also. And so this metaverse is not owned by one company or a handful of companies, which if you remember in this kind of movies, those companies that own everything online, they're the villains usually. So this is basically why it needs to be built, and it needs to be built in a decentralized fashion, in a decentralized manners, where users actually have a lot of control as much as possible.
Okay, so the key here is being decentralized. A lot of new terms, but still very interesting. Miss Pandu and Jane, we have to catch a break. Pemirsa, jangan kemana-mana. Dialog bersama dengan Reality Train Founder and DeBio Network CEO, Miss Pandu Sastrowardoyo, and also CEO of Myriad Social, Jean Daniel Gauthier, dalam CNBC Indonesia Awards 2021 The Best Technology Companies akan kembali usai jeda berikut. Tetaplah bersama dengan kami. Informasi lebih lengkap dan berita terkait, klik link yang ada dalam deskripsi. Dan jangan lupa untuk install aplikasi CNBC Indonesia di App Store dan juga Play Store. Jangan lupa subscribe ya.